Have you been using these to start your seeds? That's a lot of extra work. I'm going to show you a method that doesn't use these, is less work, and yields great results. So the method I'm talking about is called winter sowing, and the star of the show is milk jugs. Put some drainage holes in the bottom of your milk jug. Cut around the whole rim to create a hinge, which you can close, and fill this with your soil. Don't use seed starting mix. Seed starting mix is great for seedlings in trays. They're small. The seed has everything it needs as far as nutrition to germinate. And then the theory is that you up-pot it into a potting soil to give it more nutrition. With winter sowing, you're leaving your seedlings in the milk jug for a longer period of time. These won't be taken out and up-potted until they're ready to go in the garden. So you need to have a soil mix that has some nutrition in it for the seedling. So I use just regular potting soil. I do sift it so that it doesn't have a lot of the large chunks in it that potting soil might have. This is what I've sifted out. And then I'm left with a really light, fluffy mixture, and I'll show you that. So this is just a lighter, fluffy potting soil. It's got the nutrition in it that the seedling needs to grow until it's ready to put out in the garden. And this is an easy method, saves you a lot of time in up-potting later. After I've sifted the soil, I moisten it, and this makes sure that the soil isn't hydrophobic and won't repel water. So then I just fill up my milk jug pretty much within a ½ inch to the top of this where I've cut it. And when I'm done filling it up, sort of tap it down, make sure that it's good and firm. But I do want it a little bit compacted so that the seeds have good contact with the soil. What I'm sowing right now are poppies, which need some cold stratification. So this will go outside after I've sown it. And I'm just scatter sowing them. I'm not placing any certain number in here or putting them in any kind of row. Just really sprinkling quite a few on top of the soil. And then take my soil that I've moistened and sprinkle it on top. Not a lot, doesn't take a lot. Just want to cover the seeds very lightly. And again, just tap down the soil with the back of your hand. Next up, I'm going to tape around this jug. A lot of people use painter's tape, some use duct tape. My best results have come from using cheap dollar store duct tape. They stick the best and they last the longest. Some people just put holes in the bottom and top and use twist ties to sort of keep it closed. You want to keep it closed because you want to keep the moisture in there, but the seeds will come up when the conditions are right. So this is actually going to go outside. It's not staying in the greenhouse. They'll go outside until the seedlings have come up and they're ready to go in the garden. The nice thing about this is to water it. I just put it in a tray of water and let it water from the bottom. You'll notice that there is no lid on the milk jug, and that's so that rain can get in and keep everything watered. If I pick this up and it feels really light, I know it's dry, so I need to put it in a tray with some water so that it can get water. One thing you do want to be sure that you remember to do is to mark your jugs. I use a garden marker. Don't use a Sharpie. You're going to be disappointed and you won't remember what you've planted because that marker is going to fade. So use a garden marker, use a wax pencil, or even a regular pencil will work. I put what variety it is in the jug that I've sown, and I put the date that I sowed it. That way I can tell if things aren't coming up in a couple of weeks or when the weather warms, I'll know that something's up and maybe those seeds weren't viable. So just a tip I've learned the hard way. Use a garden marker, use a wax pencil, and mark what you put in your jugs. You'll notice I scatter sowed these poppy seeds. If I'm sowing things like tomatoes, peppers, those sorts of things, I usually put anywhere from 9 to 12 seeds in the milk jug, and that sort of spaces them out so that I don't have to up-pot them. You could do more if you plan to up-pot later. Our last freeze date is typically the last week of April, and we don't put tomatoes and peppers out until mid-May. So they tend to stay in the milk jugs for quite a while. That's why I do 9, occasionally 6, if I'm concerned about them having enough space. So my whole yard tends to be covered in milk jugs. I've got them in the greenhouse. I've got them everywhere, and it works. I get great harvests from it. My garden production is always good with doing it this way, and I've saved myself time and money by not having to buy seed starting trays, seed starting lights, racks to put them all on. I mean, there are a lot of expenses involved in sowing seeds the traditional way. This method is not as expensive. It does require some kind of jug. A lot of people use Ziploc bags. A lot of people use water bottles, milk jugs. So my seeds have been sown. The milk jug is taped closed, lid off. I do have some small holes drilled around the top just for air movement and airflow. And there's drainage holes in the bottom. This goes outside. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, that won't work in my climate. It's too cold here. Believe me, it will. I have friends in Wisconsin and Minnesota where it gets brutally cold, and they successfully grow vegetables using this method. If the seedlings emerge and you're going to get a cold snap, cover up your milk jug and it'll be fine. I've successfully grown a wide variety of vegetables. Winter sowing was, I think, initially used to cold stratify perennials that need that period of cold before they germinate. But I've successfully winter sown tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, okra, cantaloupe, spinach, you name it. I've grown it in a milk jug and done it successfully. So trust the process. It goes against everything you're thinking as far as seed trays and seed lights and all of that, but it works. And it's an inexpensive way to get your garden going. These just go outside. They'll germinate when the conditions are right, and I'll have seedlings to put in the garden. A number of people have asked me, well, okay, they germinate in the milk jug, and then you put them out in the garden, but how big are they when you put them out? You can up pot them if you want to. I don't frequently up pot mine. Once they have their true leaves, they're fine to up pot, and if the conditions are right, you can put them in your garden. So for cold crops like brassicas, spinach, lettuces, those kinds of things, I get them started in my milk jugs and then put them out a couple of weeks before our last frost. If you're concerned about it, you can certainly keep them in a greenhouse or a warm window. You could put them on a heat mat, but you don't need to. You really don't. They will get to the size they need to be, and once you put them out, they will take off. They will grow like you wouldn't believe. And if you compare winter sown plants with those that were started in seed trays and up potted, within a few weeks, they're going to be the same size. It doesn't impact production. They'll still produce fruit, and I've gotten some massive tomatoes out of this method. So I know it works. Put your skepticism aside, put your doubts aside, and give it a try. What have you got to lose? Comments. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for dropping by the Hippie Chick Homestead. Take care, y'all.